So we're going to do something new. We're going to embark on a new process. We've got our home labs, which we've been working on, and we're going to continue to work on that configuration and setting up our home lab and doing different projects in there. And those projects really come from a lot of the classes that I teach. It's kind of supplemental material for a lot of my students, but a lot of that material also is useful for somebody that's trying to break into cybersecurity. A lot of times I find that some of these labs just aren't explained well, or they're not done correctly, or the technology has changed and no one's bothered to update the material. And let's be honest, some people just cannot do labs by reading through the material. They find it difficult to do, or English isn't the first language, and you just need someone to walk you through the process, which I'm happy to do. I do a lot for my students. But one of the things that I'm encountering a lot in the cyber world and the IT world is that I have a lot of students that are introduced to this great operating system called Linux, and they just don't get it, right? The command lines are a little bit different. It's not Windows, it's not Mac, it's Linux. And while I have been told by numerous people, oh, well, Mac is based off of Unix, nah, it's a little bit of a difference, right? And so learning Linux is one of those things that you really have to go through the process with in your courses or throughout your experience, whether it's in IT or cybersecurity, because it's not going away anytime soon. We use Linux for almost everything. A lot of times it does items or tasks better than a Windows system could, or even a Mac system could. And so you really have to learn how to use Linux to a point where you're proficient at it. And that's where this kind of series is going to come into play. OverTheWire created a great lab environment to learn how to use Linux, and they do a fantastic job. I can't recommend OverTheWire enough. It provides students with that base understanding of how to accomplish commands, how to accomplish a task. And rather than trying to memorize as if from a book where CD equals change directory and this equals this and da-da-da-da, you actually do the task while you're learning. And if students are a lot like me, they learn better by actually completing the task. However, one of the problems that I'm finding in my classrooms and with a lot of my students is the overabundance of information that is either wrong that they find on the internet, or it's not up to date, or they go down a rabbit hole. I actually had a student tell me a couple weeks ago that they were completing the war games, they were completing OverTheWire and Bandit, and it took them 2 hours to find the right command. And that is absolutely ridiculous, right? I don't feel like you're learning at that point. I feel like you're playing hide and go seek with Google. And so what I'm going to do in this series is do the first 1 to 5 commands or 5 commands every video on basic Linux fundamentals, and we're going to go through, we're going to complete the commands together, and we're going to dissect those commands and what those commands are actually doing. And so you actually are not only doing the commands, but you're learning what the command is and why it's in the way that it's written. Some of them are very easy to understand, some are a little bit more difficult, but we're going to use overthewire.org. We're going to do the war games, and we're going to start with Bandit, and we'll just go through them as time permits. I think I'm going to try to keep it about 3 to 5 commands per video. Just because I like to keep them short and sweet, and if we can go through, then awesome. If it's a complex command, we may only do 1 video for that command, but we'll create this video series so that you can kind of complete this war game along with me, and we can go through and we can learn Linux together as we're moving through it. I say together, but honestly, I've been using this operating system for quite some time now. So let's get into it. I'll post this website into the video description below so that you have direct access to it. You don't have to go searching for it. But overthewire.org, war games, we're going to start with Bandit right there. And let's just start, okay? It tells you for note beginners, you can read this on your own. I highly suggest you do, but we're going to start with level 0 right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Terminal at the very top left-hand side of your thing. If you put your mouse over that black little window right there, it'll say Terminal Emulator. We're going to click on that. That'll open up our terminal, and then I'm going to blow it up so you can see what I'm typing here and stretch it out a little bit, just like so. So we're at Bandit Level 0. The goal of this level is for you to log into the game using SSH. Now, SSH is Secure Shell. It's a point-to-point connection between 2 systems is basically what it is. And the reason we call it Secure Shell is because it's actually using encryption. It doesn't have to just be between your Linux system and another machine, or even a Windows and another machine. We used to use SSH for logging in remotely to controllers at the bottom of cell sites, where they then change the parabolic antennas a little bit and adjust those antennas for cellular signal strength. And we can do a lot of funky things with it. We do down tilt, up tilt. We can move it left or right. All kinds of funky things that we could do using SSH to log in remotely to those controllers at the bottom of the tower. However, in this case, we're using SSH to control or to connect from our Linux machine over to another server. In this case, the host needs to connect to bandit.labs.overthewire.org. Now, SSH normally operates on port 22. That is the common port for it. However, you can change that depending on how you want. In this case, it says to operate on port 2220. And so we're going to operate, or we're going to connect to this host system, this server, bandit.labs.overthewire.org, on port 2220. The username is bandit0, the password is bandit0, so on and so forth. So here we go. SSH is going to be our protocol, and then bandit0 is our username at... And I recommend you don't type it. I recommend you grab it. We're just going to highlight that entire thing. That's where we're going. That's the server. We're going to right-click, copy, and then right-click and paste. I've seen a lot of students get frustrated because they don't type it in right and they can't figure out that they misspelled something or forgot something. Now, I could technically connect just using this. And if I do that, it's going to go back to this singular SSH, which is on port 22. So if I hit enter here, it's going to try to connect to bandit.labs.overthewire.org on port 22, which is not intended. And so its permission is denied. Okay, so we're going to press the up arrow. We're going to have to tell it what port to connect to. In this case, we're going to do a switch P. So that's a dash P, also known as a switch P or a TAC P. And then we're going to tell it what port number. In this case, it's going to be 2220. We're going to hit enter, and it's going to ask us what our password is. We know that our password is bandit0, so we got that from our directions. I'm going to hit enter, and then it's going to ask me, hey, I'm connected now. I've already connected to this once, so you may have on your screen, do you want a fingerprint? Fingerprinting is where the system is kind of identifying you as a system that is connected to, right? So we've got that encryption key that we're utilizing, and it's basically saying, hey, do I want to, or do you want to store this encryption key for later use? You want to type in yes, and then you go through it. So this is completing part 0, which is connecting. And we know we're connected because it says bandit0 at bandit. We're good to go on this aspect of it. So we're just going to click bandit0 to bandit level 1 right here, and it says the password for the next level is stored in a file called readme located in the home directory. Use the password to log into Bandit 1 using SSH. Whenever you find a password for a level, use SSH on port 2220 to log into that level and continue the game. So we need to find the home directory. Well, in order to find the home directory, we can do several things. Let's start with ls. Now, ls means list. And that's going to list every directory within the current directory, okay? So in order to do ls, and when we do ls, we see this readme file. But how do I read this readme file? Well, I'm going to type in cat. So cat allows me to read this readme file. So I'm just going to type in cat space readme, and it says, here's the password for this, right? Now, we're technically in the home directory, so let me grab this. I'm going to collect that. I'm going to copy. And then I like to start a little bit of a tab, right? A little bit of a Word document right here. On the very top left-hand side, next to your Firefox, you should see a text editor. Just open that up. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that little thing in there, and that's going to be our password. I'm not going to put anything else in there, but I am going to put it in into my README file right there. And I'm just going to move this off to the side just for later use in case I need it. All right, now it says that I need to disconnect. So I'm going to type in quit right here. And it says quit not be found. Let's try exit. There we go. So exit will allow me to exit out of that. And then it says I need to log in, use this password to log into Bandit1 using SSH. So I'm going to type in SSH Bandit1 at, and then I need that overthewire.org website. So I'm going to scroll up here a little bit until I find it. I may just have to go back over to here. So I'm going to go back to level 0. I'm going to grab that bandit, overthewire.org. I probably could have just picked or clicked up arrow until I ran to the command and did it that way, but that's okay. I'm just going to paste clipboard over there, and it says that I need to be on port 2220. So again, that switch P. Let's go back over to here and see if it'll let me connect. It's going to try through there. It says, what's the password? Let me go back over here. I'm going to grab that password. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that in there. And let's see if it lets me in. Okay, so now I'm Bandit 1, and I can see that I'm in Bandit 1 because it says Bandit 1 at Bandit. So now we're moving on. We're going pretty quick. Now we're going to move into level 2. So level 1 to level 2. So here we can see the password for the next level is stored in a file called dash, located in the home directory. So again, we're going to do that ls. We can see that dash. Now, if I try to do cat dash, it's going to come back with an error. It's not going to work. Okay, so let's give it a second to go through its little process here. But my guess is it's not going to do anything. Matter of fact, it's already hung up. I'm just going to press Control-C to get rid of that. And what we need to do is we're going to do cat and then period / dash. And because it's an unusually named file, we have to do that period / Now, a lot of times we're going to use period / and then the name of the program that we want to start. In this case, it's just going to allow us to get that password. So I'm going to grab that password, and we are rocking and rolling. Let me grab that. I'm going to copy that over to our little file here. And we're going to have to log into the next one. So we're going to hit exit. And in this case, I'm going to actually grab this entire line right here, this at bandit. I'm going to copy that selection. I'm going to throw it in here so I've got it for later down the road because it looks like I'm going to be going through this quite a bit. So now we're going to do SSH bandit 2 at, and then let me throw this in here. So we're going to paste our selection over the wire, and again on switch P 2220 for our next aspect. And then we're going to need that password. So let me grab this password right here. Let me copy that, and then paste that selection in there, and that should get us into Bandit 2. Oh, didn't work. Let's try this again. Make sure I got this right, and then copy, and then paste. Did I mess up? Did I not grab the right password? Let's see. Let me grab all this. Copy selection. Maybe I missed part of it. Who knows? Let's do that. And then grab that again. Copy. Come back down. And paste clipboard. And it kicked me. So it's kicking me. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I put a double @ sign. I put a double @ sign right there. Let's try this again. There we go. And then paste the clipboard right there. If you're trying to figure out how I got that command so quickly, all I did was press the up arrow. That's all I did. And that brought up the last command that I did. Okay, now we're in the next one. We're in 2 to 3 now. So the password for the next level is stored in a file called spaces, and this file name located in the home directory. So we're going to go back in, and just like before, we're going to hit that ls. We can see spaces in this file name directory. And again, if I type in cat and then spaces, and will tab work for me? If I hit tab, you can see that it provides those slashes for me. If I hit enter, it'll work, right? So if I just hit cat and then spaces, it'll work for me. There's another way to do it, though. I can do cat and then the quotation mark, and then I can type in spaces in this file name, just like that. And I can hit enter, and it'll give me the same thing. I like tab. Tab is one of those shortcuts that you can do quite often. And so I'm going to hit copy selection. We're going to put it right here. Control V over there into our Word document. And now we're in Bandit 3. So I'm going to hit exit again. I'm just going to press the up arrow this time. And instead of copying that all in, I'm just going to take the cursor over there with the left arrow. Bandit 3 now. Hit enter. It's asking me for this password. Let me grab this password. I'm going to copy that, throw it over here, paste clipboard, hit enter, and there we go. Now we're in Bandit 3. So now we're going from level 3 to level 4. So just like before, again, we're going to hit that ls to list out the directories, and we can see in here, so we're going to just try cat in here, just like that. and it's saying, hey, this is not it's a directory, it's not anything else. So we have to do a change directory. We need to move throughout that. So we need to do a directory. So we're going to do CD for change directory. And then if I type in IN and then tab, it'll autofill it for me. And I can do tab or enter. That'll get it. I'm going to do an LS again. Now you can see that there's nothing in this directory, right? If I hit LS, there's nothing that shows up. And so I've got a hidden problem in here. Now, this is real simple to fix. I'm going to hit LS, and then I'm going to do a switch A for all. And there it is. There's my hidden right there. So now I'm going to do a cat. I'm going to do period, and then hidden. I just hit that tab button again. And then there is my next password right there, ready to go. Let me copy that selection. We'll move down a couple lines and hit it in there. And again, I'm going to do exit. Now we're at Bandit 4. So I'm going to scroll on over, just like so. Bandit 4. And hit this process. And again, here's the password. I've already copied it, so I'm going to paste it in there. And you should give me access to Bandit 4. So we're going to stop this video here. We've completed pretty much the first 5 levels of this over-the-wire exercise. It gets a little bit more difficult as we move forward, but that's okay. I think this is a good starting point. We've learned about change directory. We learned about SSH. We learned a little bit about ports and protocols. We found some hidden files. We learned about lists. I feel like we've hit quite a few commands already in the mere 20 minutes that we've been working on this. And so if this was valuable to you, if you feel like you learned something from this, if you feel a little bit more confident about your Linux skills because of it, please go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and provide that thumbs up for me and that alert on the side, and we'll keep on making these videos. If there's anything else that you're looking at and you're like, hey, I could really use some help with this, hit my way, right? Send me a message, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. We're going to call it quits for today. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.